increase does come along. But after my senior year, I went to Murray State University. I graduated with a degree in social work because something I wanted to do was to work with kids that might be like him. And that's what I decided to do. It was something that was important to me. And I met my husband while I was in college. We got married in June 24th of 06. And then January of 07, I found out that I was pregnant. And I had a baby. And he is 19 months old now. And he, actually having him was very easy. And I know that sounds crazy. But I had a scheduled induction on September the 3rd of 07, which was Labor Day, and which was my name. And then that morning, I was getting up at 4 in the morning to get ready to go to my scheduled induction when my water broke on the morning of my induction, which was really weird. And so, of course, my husband, this being our first one, he thought the baby was coming in 5 seconds, so he's freaking out. And he's running to try to find the keys and running around. And we finally get into the car. We get to the hospital, and that's about 4:30 was when my water broke. And then by 12 o'clock or 12:05, the doctor said, "Okay, I think we're ready to have this baby." I had the baby naturally. I didn't have to have a C-section. And I remember there was 2 contractions. I pushed 3 times on 2 contractions and had him at 12:10. So I had him in 5 minutes. And I thought, wow, that was so easy. You're not going to have another one. I was more tired from getting up than having the baby. But I didn't realize the hard part was taking care of the baby. Because now that he's 19 months old, he went from crawling to running. And I'm having to run after him, and he knows how to get away from Mama. He's in a wheelchair; they can't keep up with him. He will hide behind the recliner and have whatever it is that he's not supposed to have. And I'm sitting there like, "Logan, get back over here!" He's so funny, and he's fast and runs, but his daddy can catch him, and so I'm always yelling for my husband to run after him. But I was just blessed to have that baby and to get that opportunity. Being paralyzed, that was something I was worried about not being able to have a child, and I was able to. But before I had him, and while I was pregnant, and like I said before, that I got the opportunity to actually speak to Michael, I went to the LaGrange Penitentiary, is where he was, where I spoke to him. I remember going up to the penitentiary, and it was the scariest thing I've ever seen. We got there, and I thought that he was going to be shackled and in an orange suit and all that kind of stuff, and he wasn't. I got into the room, and he was sitting across the table from me. And I was looking at him and thinking, it was like he was 2 different people to me. He was the person that did attempt to murder me, but he was also the person that I considered a friend at one time. And it was so hard to separate those 2 people, because it was like he was, 2 different people to me. But we talked about everything. He answered all of my questions. I asked him what he remembered that morning, and he told me what he remembered. I told him what I remembered because I wanted him to know what I saw that morning. I asked him what was one thing that he would advice that he would give to kids, because that's something that I always get asked by kids when I go to schools. And he said that one thing that he would have done would be to tell somebody what he was going through, to talk about it, because that's something that he didn't do. He said that obviously his choice would be not to ever have decided to bring that guy into school, because that was the worst decision that he could have ever made. We had a very good conversation. Later on in the conversation, we even kind of joked around and talked about things that we remembered from high school, when we were together in high school. But at the end of the conversation, he told me, "I don't know if I've ever told you this, but I'm sorry for what I did to you." And I told him, I know that you're sorry. He actually had written me letters previously and had told me that he was sorry in the letters. And so he said, okay. But I don't think that there's any such thing as closure, but visiting him and talking with him was the closest that I could ever get. because I think that really, really helped me. But I've been through a lot, and I've learned a lot from what I've been through. And I hated that I had to go through something like this to realize at the age of 15 that I wasn't invincible and that something can happen to me. And I don't think that at that age that we don't realize that, maybe even as we get older, when something like this kind of thing happens to you, you think that it happens to other people, but it can happen to you. So live every day to the fullest. And, that morning I thought, I know that God was with me and that He has helped me keep my positive attitude through this entire thing. And I believe that there are two roads that you can take. You can sit and be angry about the whole situation that something like this has happened to you, or you can be happy. And so that's why I wrote a book about my entire experience that goes into more detail about things. And it's called I Choose to Be Happy, because you do have a choice. You have a choice whether you be happy or whether you're angry about a situation. Applying it to anything. You make choices in your life and you choose the way you feel or how you deal with things. But I know that I'll walk again. It may not be tomorrow. It may not be 10 years from now. It may not be 20 years from now. But I know that I'll walk in heaven and that everything will be okay. But I want to thank you so much for having me, and I hope that you learned something from me today. Thank you so much.